Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. Today I will be doing readings for those that have Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, any inner planets. Please check your birth chart to see what planets and other placements those signs are in. I will be posting readings to those signs later during the week. Today I will be doing shadow work readings. Shadow work readings are readings to bring out things, feelings that you're hiding, repeating, energy that keeps you stuck in the same situation or attracting the same type of people. I'll start your reading with astrology dice. So I have Neptune, Gemini, and 5th house, which you're not supposed to associate signs with houses, but the 5th house is pretty much the house of children. It's sort of like the house of Leo. It has a lot of your Leo energy there. Also to mention, Neptune is currently in a retrograde right now. It's in Pisces retrograde. It's from 24 to 27 degrees. It's been there since June 30th, and it would stay in retrograde till December 6th. The way that a lot of retrogrades, or the way that retrogrades work, is there's a shadow period before the retrograde starts and after the retrograde ends. So the shadow period for Neptune is going to end until March 25th of 2024. And please know, Pisces does rule Neptune, so this is, if Neptune feels at home here, but it also brings out a lot of Pisces qualities out, which is rose-colored glasses, not admitting your truth, distractions, addictions. It brings a lot of that out. So if you have mutable planets, Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, from 24 to 27 degrees, you will be feeling Neptune retrograde a little bit more closer than other people. There's also 6 or 7 other planets that are in retrograde. Well, Venus doesn't really count because it already went direct at the beginning of this month on September 3rd, but it's in the shadow period, like I said earlier, until October 7th. During this time, there's usually a lot of retrogrades. Last year during this time, there was a lot of retrogrades. Next year during this time, there will be a lot of retrogrades. It's a repeated thing because there's a new season coming up, which is Libra. And it's to welcome in new energy, to welcome in new gifts, to welcome in new blessings from the universe. And in order to receive those blessings, you need to let go of the old, let go of what's not working for you. So let's dive into these dice and see why they're here. For some of you, you might have been dealing with a Gemini, or you might be with a Gemini, or this is somebody from your past that has a lot of Gemini in their chart, since the Gemini dice is here. So with Neptune being right next to it, I would say that you could probably sometimes hide the truth of the Gemini and not really admit it to them or to yourself, because you can't really see them in that light. You might hold them up to a pedestal, and this pedestal might sort of make them feel bigger than what they're supposed to, and it's not doing you any service or them. That's for a small percentage of you. Like, you think it's helping them, not telling them the truth, staying quiet sometimes, but that's not helping them. It's just making their ego a lot bigger. So for 5th house, we have 3 of Pentacles. For Gemini, there are 2 cards. I usually only take 1 card when I'm doing readings. For Gemini, we have 3 of Cups. That's a lot of 3s. For Neptune, Page of Cups for Neptune. And at the bottom of the deck, we have 10 of Wands. So 10 of Wands is Sagittarius energy. It's a burden type of energy. It's carrying an overload carrying more than what you're supposed to. So I feel that this adds on to what I was saying before of you not being honest. And it doesn't have to be a Gemini. It could be just anybody in your life. You're just not being honest with them. And you're overcompensating and over carrying for them and for the people around you. And you're carrying a lot for them. Where to start? Because there's 2 3s here. So 3 in tarot is for the Empress. I really like to associate the numbers with things that I know of astrology and tarot. For the 3rd house, it's funny because the 3rd sign of the zodiac is Gemini. The 3rd house has to do with siblings. It has to do with your mental energy, with how you think, how you learn, how you communicate with your thoughts. The fact that there's 2 3s here, I feel that 3 might be an important number to some of you. You might have 3 kids, 3 pets, 3 cars, 3, yeah, like it comes in 3s, I guess. But there's a lot of energy tied, and 3, since it's the zodiac sign, the 3rd sign, Gemini, and Gemini dice is here. I feel that there's a lot of energy tied with the Gemini, with you, Leo. But I do have to say, because Neptune is here, and currently Neptune is in retrograde, I do feel that there is a lot of truth that you're hiding from this person. And I feel that if you really tell them the truth of who they are, even though you mean it with so much love, that's not how it'll be taken. So you stay quiet to keep the peace, and you usually stay quiet to keep the peace with family and friends around you. And that's the crazy thing about Leo, that in astrology, Leo is known as, it has this stereotype of being outspoken, of being a fire sign, and really just lighting everything up, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. But I feel that that's such a stereotype. And I feel that Leos are a lot stronger than that, and you guys don't get a lot of credit for how you actually hold back your emotions. And I feel that for some of you, holding back your emotions and holding back how you really feel is really affecting the other people around you without you noticing that that's what's going on, and without you intentionally doing that. And it's because you don't tell this person what they're really doing or how they're really coming off to other people. You try to sugarcoat it. And the reason why I say that is because Neptune is here, and Neptune is about sugarcoating. It's about addictions. This person might be your addiction for some of you. And then 10 of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. So the bottom of the deck is the energy of the whole reading. That's why a lot of readers read the bottom of the deck. And you can ignore that card. I don't like to. It doesn't mean this. If this card was here, it'll be completely different. But because it's here, it's like the overall energy. So 10 of Wands is the overall energy, and 10 of Wands usually represents burden. And since I read intuitively, and I see Neptune and Gemini here, I really got that when I saw that Gemini dice. And this could be a Gemini that has like a Scorpio, a Capricorn, or I want to say an Aries moon probably, but I doubt it. No, not Aries. Scorpio, Capricorn, no, not Pisces. Yeah, Scorpio or Capricorn moon. A Gemini with an Aquarius moon would not, this would probably not fit them. But the reason why I say Scorpio or Capricorn, it's because it's a Gemini sun that has a heavy moon. And those are heavy moon placements. Not to say that the other placements aren't heavy, but those are some of the heaviest ones. Libra moon is also pretty heavy. It's underestimated, Libra energy, of how heavy it could be. Virgo moon also. Virgo moon is extremely heavy. Virgo moon in so Virgo moon is represented by Hades. No, the women, Persephone, the woman that married Hades. But she's the queen of the underworld, and she's also comes to like our world, our regular world, so they could dive into both worlds, and she represents Virgo. So Virgo has like a dark side to it that a lot of people don't really talk about, aren't really acknowledged. In astrology, they make fun of them for them being perfectionist and stuff, and it's like, yeah, to an extent, that's a stereotype, they sort of are, but they also have this evil side to them, and they're a mutable sign. Mutable signs have that. Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, mutable signs have that. They have that double side, that other side that other people don't really see. Sometimes they don't even know that they have that other side or that dark side. They could just be ignoring it or trying to hide it from other people or themselves. And I feel that that's if you are dealing with a Gemini, that's the type of Gemini that you are dealing with, where they don't want to accept the heaviness or the dark side to themselves, and because they don't want to accept it, it creates other problems in their own relationships. But because you're around this person, those problems become your problems as well. For some of you that are dealing with the Gemini with the moon signs that I had mentioned, and the way that you would know their moon sign, you would have to get their birth chart, and you have to have their exact birth time. I know that some people, when you ask them what time you were born, they're like, oh, my mom says, or I think I was born. No, that does not work with astrology. It has to be the exact birth time, because that's when we know the degrees, the placement, the house, and those are very, very important in a chart reading. Can I have a card for Three of Pentacles? Let's dive deeper into this. So for Three of Pentacles, I got Thunderbolt. At the bottom of the deck, we have sharing. So I feel that there is probably an oversharing of things here, and I feel that there's this energy. So Thunderbolt is sort of like the Tower card, but so I feel like there's an because sharing is right here, but I don't think, because Thunderbolt is here, and remember, this is just the overall energy, so I feel that there's an oversharing of things sometimes. There has to be a boundary established to that. And I feel that with Three of Pentacles here, it could also be towards your money, but I feel that if there's no boundaries done towards this, you do explode on other people. And I feel that for some of you that don't explode on other people, you explode on yourself, and you really take it out on yourself. Especially because you want to help out your children, your family, those around you, and some of you are financially able to, but financially helping them keeps them in the same position, and it's a cycle that keeps repeating, and you end up taking it out on yourself. Especially if this is family. Especially because they're putting the burden on you. For a lot of you, they're putting the burden on you because you are financially stable, so they expect you to do something about it, but they keep themselves in the same cycle, and you take it out on yourself. You take it out on yourself that you know you shouldn't be helping them, but then when you don't help them, they make you feel guilty, or your other families make you feel guilty. They get other people involved for some of you. And that's why you had to cut them off. You had to, if you could see, he's building a wall. You had to build a wall to really get away from, build those boundaries, because you take it out on yourself, and that's not fair. Because when you take it out on yourself, it could come out in addictions. Neptune is here. It could come out in illusions. It could come out towards your partner. You could get mad at your partner, at your friends, without them even being the cause, and it's something internally that's going on because you're not building boundaries. Three of Chalices. Can I have a cup for a cup? Can I have a card for Three of Chalices, please? At the bottom of the deck, we have friendliness, and we have the Rebel upside down. So I turned it upside or right side up so you could see that there's like shackles here and his foot's here, but I know it's sort of dark here so you can't really see it, but the shackle is like broken here, so his foot's not really shackled. It just, he's sort of like pretending it is, I guess. This card really reminds me of the Gemini card of 8 of Swords, of where I believe it's 8 or 9 of Swords, but there's a card of where they're blindfolded and there's swords around them, and it represents feeling trapped but not really being trapped. It's sort of like the Devil card as well, where it's the devil in the middle and 2 people on the side. They're usually naked with chains, but those chains aren't like bonding them, they're not really holding them, they just feel like they are, or they just give the illusion that they are. And I feel that this card represents that, and I feel that there's something that gives you the illusion or the feeling that you're tied to it, but you're not trying to let go of it. And I feel that, I don't know the reason why you keep staying stuck to this, but there's a reason why you're staying stuck to this, and it's 3 of Cups, so it's something emotional. I want to say that it's a relationship. It could be a partner with a Gemini, since it did come out with the Gemini dice, and that's what I've been talking about with Gemini, especially if they have those moon signs I mentioned before. Yeah, there's something that you're not, I guess, you're staying stuck to, even though you know you shouldn't, and you're not building boundaries towards it. And it's like, if you look at these trees, it's this friendliness, and the colors of the leaves, they're like mixed in together. So it's like there's a saying in Spanish, costumbre es más fuerte que el amor, which means like being accustomed to someone is a lot stronger than loving them. Sometimes we stay in relationships because we're so accustomed to people, but we're not in love with them at that point. But it hurts a lot more because they're your routine. They're what you do every day. It's like, what am I gonna do without them? Like, no, that doesn't make sense. So even though you don't love them, you still stay. For some of you, I feel that this is what this means. This could also mean towards a certain type of emotion, a certain type of belief towards relationships, a certain type of belief towards friendship that's really keeping you stuck and not moving forward, because you're just stuck there with those emotions, with those negative emotions that are not working for you and they're not for your higher good. Page of Cups. So Page of Cups is about emotions as well. At the bottom of the deck, we have politics. And if you see, it's a snake. And the snake is holding up a mask, like, for the person. And we have a nothingness, which is just a blank black space. So, like I was saying, Page of Cups is about emotions. And I feel that you have 2 Cups cards here and Neptune here. And these represent water sign. Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. Neptune is ruled by Pisces. So I think having 2 Cups cards here is very important, and I really think that just pushes on to what I was saying of how you ignore your feelings to stay stuck in certain situations. You feel nothingness towards it, or you feel nothing towards it. You probably don't want to break the person's heart. You probably wear a mask around it. You've been wearing the mask for so long that you don't know how you feel, where your feelings start and where their feelings end. Like the tree that I had showed you before that came out for underneath the bottom of the deck for the Rebel. You stay stuck in those situations, and this could apply towards family. This could be towards your parents. This could be towards a sibling. This could be towards your children. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner. Yeah, and some of you aren't creating those boundaries with everybody around you, and you really do take it out on yourself. And for some of you, you don't know nothing else but to take it out on yourself, because this is a cycle that you've been taught since you were little. This is something you've been doing since you were little. I'm gonna dive into what are the negative emotions that are keeping you stuck for 3 of Cups and the Rebel. What are some negative emotions keeping Leo stuck? This deck, just so you know, it's all about negative emotions. There is one positive card in this whole deck. At the bottom of the deck, we have Masquerade and Today for Tomorrow. So this card talks about, it's two girls. They're both wearing a dress. It's a similar dress, but it's very different. This one has a turtleneck and this one's a V-neck. She has short hair. She has long hair. So this card talks about giving up for today instead of tomorrow. So in a relationship type of view, how I would explain this is you stay in the relationship because you don't want to deal with the pain or with the consequences or with the other person, their actions, whatever it has to do with in the future. You don't want to deal with that, so you stay today for tomorrow. You give up your today for tomorrow. And I feel that a lot of you are doing that in this relationship, and you've been doing that for years, that you've gotten so used to it and you don't know how. And sometimes it's not even to do with that person, it's to do with that person's family, with kids involved, with friends, with how is that possible, with, and you've just gotten so used to this cycle, and it's like you're just stuck with this person. It feels like you're just stuck with this person, but I hope you know that you don't have to be stuck with this person. And I think it's interesting that at the bottom of the deck you have Masquerade, and at the bottom of this deck you have Politics, and they're both about wearing a mask. So somebody here is definitely wearing a mask. It's either you or your partner or the person around you or the people that you're building boundaries towards. Or you wear a mask to hide how you take it out on yourself. But there's a lot of dark feelings that you're not taking out, and a lot of these feelings have to do with somebody else, or they have to do with how somebody else makes you feel, or how somebody else makes other people around you feel. And you're not being honest about that. And you're just carrying the burden for everybody around you. But eventually you're gonna take it on yourself. And this is a cycle that you've been doing. This is a cycle that you do, where you take it out on yourself. And you might revert back to addiction. You might revert back to old patterns, to when you take it out on yourself, and then you refresh, start all over again, because you blame it on yourself. So for some of you, you might like go back to an addiction, or you might go back to a distraction that you haven't had because you set a boundary towards that distraction, towards that addiction, but because you're not being honest about your feelings. When you do go back, the reason why you stay in this relationship is because you keep going back to that addiction and you keep blaming yourself. And you feel guilt towards that for some of you. And that guilt is holding you there, especially if you have kids involved. Especially if those kids blame you for their addictions. And 3 is something that keeps popping up. So 3 chances, 3 kids, 3 decades together, 3 years together. I don't know, 3 something. What are the negative emotions for Neptune? We have Addicted, and at the bottom of the deck we have Artificial Heart. So Addicted, he has a lot of blades towards him in his back, but there's no blood coming out. So you might be addicted to the pain, or you might have just gotten used to it. There's a certain type of addiction that you're hiding here, or that you overcame in this relationship, and you feel stuck towards this relationship because you overcame the addiction with this person. So you guys have a lot of history together. Or you could just simply be addicted to this person. You could be addicted to how they make you feel, but you're ignoring the feelings here of the nothingness and taking it out on yourself. You're faking emotions sometimes. You're carrying a burden. I'm sorry, I really get emotional in my reading sometimes. because I could feel it for some of you that it's a cycle that you keep repeating and you keep going over and over and over, and you keep thinking that it's going to be different. They show you that they could change and then they go back to the same behaviors, but it's like for some of you there's just so much that you feel you're going to lose, so you just stay there. For some of you, you might feel that there's no time, that you won't find somebody else like this person. But if this is where you're at, where you really feel that you cannot leave this person because of past emotions, because of past history that you guys have been together, and that's what's keeping you together. That's the only thing that's keeping you together. Like, just think about that. Is that the only thing that's keeping you together? There's a scientific word for it. And it's not wanting to give up on something, on a job, in a relationship, in a friendship, not wanting to give up on something that's not working anymore simply because of the energy, time, or money you have invested into it. That's an actual thing that happens to people. So just keep that in mind with this, where you feeling that way is completely normal, and it's completely normal, but you don't have to stay there if you don't want to. Now I'll be doing shadow work questions. Shadow work questions are to help you dive further into the reading. Sometimes I offer exercises to help you apply the reading into your life. I suggest that you meditate before answering these questions. I suggest that you don't force the answer to come to you. You just let it come to you. I do read the question, and then after I add an intuitive piece, additional questions of my own. I just have 2 more cards, please. Just 2 more cards. Cool, thank you. So, the first one is, what risk can I take today? So I feel that for some of you, really being vulnerable with your emotions, with yourself, not with other people, but just with yourself, is something that can be hard to do. And I feel that you've built a wall towards setting emotions or being vulnerable with yourself, some of you. For some others of you, you've built a wall towards getting close to other people or letting their emotions get close to you. So if somebody wants to be vulnerable with you, you've built a wall towards that. So it's like 2 groups, like some can't be vulnerable with themselves, some can't be vulnerable with others, and others can't accept vulnerability. Oh, that's 3 groups. And I feel that working on that is a risk that you could take today, is something that could really help you out. Especially establishing and knowing how you really feel. Because a lot of you have to talk yourself into your feelings. A lot of you have to remind yourself of how you really feel. And you shouldn't have to remind yourself of how you really feel. You should know deep down inside. And some of you, the love that you had for this person or love that you have for this person really gets in the way of that. Because there's new feelings now that you're ignoring for your past feelings. What boundaries need to be created or strengthened within my relationships? I feel that I sort of covered on that when I was explaining about this card, about how you could really be there for the other person and really not hide their truth just to save the moment. For some of you, I feel that that's what you're doing. You're carrying the burden with you. And I feel that creating boundaries towards yourself, creating boundaries towards being vulnerable with your emotions is something that could really help you here. If you really struggle with being vulnerable with your emotions and really feeling your emotions, an exercise that I recommend is a form of meditation. So during the day, sometimes we distract ourselves by reading, by going to work, by being on our phones, because we don't want to feel certain emotions. This meditation, all it is you sit there and you feel your emotions. You just let them come, you feel them, and you don't try to push them away, distract yourself from them. If anything, you just cry and you just hold yourself and you just feel your emotion. That's a step you could take towards being more vulnerable with yourself, towards starting to set healthy boundaries of being vulnerable within you to feel your emotions. How can I surrender even more in this moment? So I feel that for some of us, we try to distract ourselves within the present moment and we're not really there in the present moment. And that's why sometimes it's hard to be vulnerable with your feelings and to be vulnerable with the feelings of others. And sometimes it's hard to be honest with the person, because with the people you love, of how they really are, because sometimes the truth is harder to say than to sugarcoat something or to stick to something that you've already been saying from the past. And I feel that surrendering to your truth and surrendering towards the truth in the moment can really help you out here. Especially with being vulnerable with yourself, especially if this is you in a relationship with those heavy moon signs that I mentioned. What if it was easy? That was not supposed to happen. So, what if it was easy? If it was easy to leave the relationship, would you leave? If it was easy to create the boundaries that you needed to create for your relationships, in your friendships, in your family, would you do it? Is the reason why you're not doing it because it requires too much work? Because it requires too much from yourself? On whom am I placing blame right now? For a lot of us, it's easier to blame other people of why we can't be vulnerable, to say, well, I had this type of childhood, I don't know how to feel my emotions, or this person did X, Y, and Z, or I have to carry the burden because other people can't carry it, or other people aren't strong enough. You have to hide behind a mask and hide your feelings so other people don't get hurt. And just so you know, at the bottom of the deck, when you did have Artificial Heart, this is similar to the mask one, and you had another mask card that had come out with this one. So you had 3 mask cards come out. And I think that that's very interesting, because I feel that that goes back to my point of hiding your emotions, of not being vulnerable with yourself. It's not that you're placing blame on other people, because I don't feel that you do that, but I do feel that you hide your emotions, or you hide what you really want to say because you don't want to hurt the other person. But I feel that you holding in your truth is hurting yourself at the end of the day, because then you end up blowing up on yourself. And I really think that this is a cycle that really needs to stop and end, for you to welcome in new emotions, for you to welcome in new blessings. Especially because some of you, this could be applied to a career where you've been in a career that you haven't seen that's, I guess, toxic, but you have rose-colored glasses to it, and you haven't built boundaries towards how many hours you work, how much they expect you to do, and for the pay that you're getting. And I feel that some of you have been there for a very long time, and you take on the burden of your other coworkers. And you wear a mask at work, and it's a lot. So this could apply to a loved one, a family member, work. I really hope that this reading resonated with you. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this reading. If you would like a paid personal reading, my details will be in the description box. I look forward to reading for you again. Thank you.